You're listening to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy.
Hey there, welcome to another edition of Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy, sponsored by still no
Insert sponsor here.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on? Come on, let's go. We have guests today.
So yeah, we do have some guests today. We have, we've talked before about how part of the program, we really want to feature people that have fought cancer, beat cancer, kind of not just talk about our journeys, but talk about other people's journeys, as well as resources for people. And so I have two of my bestest friends in here today. I have Dave and Charisse in here. I love them so much. And I have followed their story for how long have you been? How long?
2011.
2011 is when you were first diagnosed, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now I saw on Facebook recently that his cancer is back and he's going through treatment again now. So I'm like, you know what? I remember when I was first diagnosed, Charisse and Dave were some of the first people on my mind because I've been really good friends with them forever. But Dave's journey always inspired me because back in 2011, we weren't sure you were going to make it, man. And here you still are.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, let's see. It was 2011, male. I'm in a little bit of a fog, so just hang on here. Hang on.
Yeah, chemo fog. If you guys don't know what it is, chemo fog is real. I blank words and stuff all the time still, and I'm not even going through chemo.
But I'm trying to think of the doctor, but it doesn't make any difference. Okay, so we sat down. He said, I got some bad news.
No, this was prostate first in 2011.
Right.
So first.
Oh, yes.
It's like, go back to the first cancer.
Okay. That was
when
Dr. Coley-Lott had found
Yes.
that. So then I did the robotic
And it
surgery.
was just by accident that we found it. I mean, in David's
Right.
case, no symptoms that he had
Nope.
at all. So it was a lump on the throat that actually led to him going to the doctor. And I said, hey, can you throw a PSA in there? It was time for him to have a PSA checked after his last year because it had been just slightly elevated. And he said, yeah, sure. And so we did it. Of course, it was on the weekend.
Thank God you just said, hey, we should do that.
Yeah. Not my first rodeo. Yeah, exactly. So you can ask for those things,
Yeah.
you don't have to. I think that's one of the things we learned the most was to be able to, at first, you don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
The longer you get into it, the more you realize what questions to ask and be able to do that. And that was one of the things. So he did it, the PSA, and he came back and he said, well, you know what, that lump on your throat, it looks like we need to check your thyroid, but I'm more worried about the PSA because his PSA came back at a 19, which it should be like 3.
Yeah.
And so that's what started it. And we went to the doctor, they did a biopsy. It was full of cancer. So his only option was to have it removed. So they did the removal of his prostate. We chose at that moment, there was some of the choices that we made was not to do the radiation afterwards. I don't know how technical or how gross we can get onto the show.
We're all about the gross.
Is this about
You can
the-
get as
Go
gross as you
gross,
want,
baby.
Charisse. Yeah.
It's about being real, being real with
Yeah.
people, because when people ask you how, oh, how was your cancer? Or how are you feeling? Everyone's like, good.
Good.
How
I
are
don't wanna
treatments?
talk about-
Oh, I feel pretty lucky.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's kind of where it ends. So this is real talk time.
Well, this, when you talk about prostate cancer, especially for guys, it's a pretty touchy situation. And I've seen, and I think you have too, especially talking to even guy to guy, they have a hard time talking about it because after prostate cancer, you lose continence, you lose your sex goes right out the window and all of that stuff because of the nerve endings that are in that area. So one of the things that we learned afterwards that they told us after he had the prostate cancer and had it removed was that there isn't any way to be able to get any of those muscles back. Like if you want to pee, so like we do our exercises of Kegels for women, it's kind of the same thing. One of the doctors had told us for him to do that. And he said, if you do that, you'll get some of that muscle back.
Yeah.
And so he did for 3 months and he was able to get that back. But if he would have had the radiation right away, right afterwards, when they want you to do it,
No.
everything is burned and everything is the
That
way it
makes
is
sense.
right after
Yeah.
surgery. So if you can give it a little bit of time to do some exercises first and then go in and do your radiation if you need it, then ask the doctor about that because they just automatically do the radiation right away. And we chose not to, which, they were all not happy about it, but it made a huge difference for his quality of life afterwards. So that was what we did for him. And then that went about a year. Well, then about a year later, we had another PET scan. He had his PET scan. And all of a sudden, this tumor shows up just underneath the kidney, and a few lymph nodes lit up the PET scan. So they thought it was prostate cancer here. There was a spot up in his shoulder, and I was the one that said, and here's another thing, if you have questions, ask the questions, and don't be afraid to say, wait a minute, I want to be able to say, if this was your husband or your dad, how would you handle that? Because just automatically it's so intimidating and you don't know. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's got this spot up on the shoulder. So is that prostate cancer? That didn't make any sense to me. And so I didn't understand it. And they got upset here. And we actually went over to the Bismarck Cancer Center because they said, you got to do some radiation because it's prostate cancer. That was the treatment. So we went over there. We had a doctor there who had no skin in the game, who told us, you know what, if you have questions, and I have questions on what I'm seeing here, go to Mayo and get a second opinion. So that's what we did. And we got him to give us the referral, because you have to have a doctor to refer.
You do. Yeah. A lot of people instantly want to call Mayo and want to get in, and they're so busy. You have to have a referral to get there because they're
wouldn't do it. So they got angry at us. So we went to Mayo, we went there. And I will say though, he had the top guy of the urology department. That was his doctor. And he too thought it was prostate cancer. And I really will say, I think it was I know it was a God thing at the time, because I really pushed it. It wasn't my knowledge. It was God's knowledge, because I pushed them to be able to say, wait a minute, you thought there could be something else. If there's something else, can you do a biopsy just so we make sure, so we don't start treatment until we know? And the doctor said, we had to go to the radiologist, and he actually said, you know what? She wants him to be checked. So let's check him. Let's do the biopsy. Nothing hurts to check it. Let's double check it. And he thought it was prostate cancer. Well, lo and behold, it was not prostate cancer, and you can't treat it with radiation. The bad news was it was urothelial carcinoma, and it was very aggressive. And they told him he had less than a year to live. So that was the second time when it came through.
I remember that you had a birthday party around that time, and we were celebrating what we thought might be your last birthday.
Right. That's why we had that party.
Yeah. And here you still are, man. Here you still are, Dave. Keep going, man.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yep.
And I will tell you another thing too, when we went to Mayo at that time, we had done some natural things, supplements that we were doing. One that my chiropractor had told me, he said, hey, Charisse, do the research on this IP6 because it's great with cancer patients that are going through the treatment. So we got it and we did the research. Yes, I'm going to put him on it. We put him on it. We went to Mayo. Mayo's like, no, you can't have any supplements, no vitamins, no anything. And we're going to put you on this chemo. There was only one cocktail that was available at the time.
Platinum SIBO.
Yep. And they said, we don't even know if it's going to work because he was like that far gone. They really felt like there was no use, but we'll do it anyway. So we started it. And at 3 months, they were going to check him. And in the meantime, we kept doing the IP6 and the vitamins, even though they told us not to. So we were a little bit on the rebel side. That's why we're such good friends, right? And we did it anyway. 3 months into it, when they did the checkup, did a PET scan, it was completely gone. They couldn't believe it. They'd never seen anything like it, and chalked it up to the chemo, of course, for them. But I really do believe not only that, and I have to say again, the amount of prayers that were out there and his faith that has grown through this. I mean, I thought his faith was strong, but things like this will, they test you and they make you feel like, all right, are you really there? And if you are, then he's made all of his deals with God along the way. Right. And the devil too, I guess. You talk to both of them. They're both there. It's like, wait a minute, what are we going to do?
Bring it on, devil.
Bring it on. So it ended up going away and we were thrilled with that. And he did great. A year later, a little tiny piece of that came up on the shoulder again. And so we had heard,
because as we've learned, cancer, if it can find any place to go, it's going to find a place to go.
And they did tell us it would never go away. Even though it went away, they told us this cancer would never go away. You will deal with this. And so when it popped up in this shoulder, I had actually sent a couple other people to Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Yep.
Plug for them. We had some friends that went there. I used to work for the American Cancer Society.
Yeah.
So again, I was like, I know just enough to be dangerous, really.
Uh-huh.
That's what the doctor just shakes his head every time he sees me. But so we were excited about going down there. We called them. They said, come on down. We wanted that second opinion again on this piece. And we were doing all the natural stuff along with the treatment, and they had told us not to. So we wanted to know more about that. And I knew that they were into that. So they flew us down there. We went to Phoenix, Arizona, and
Hey, Phoenix, Arizona.
I like it. That place is awesome.
they were, I will say, just a little plug for them. They were absolutely amazing.
Oh,
The two things for them is nutrition,
Mhm.
how you fuel your body when you need to heal, and even when you aren't, I mean, how you need to fuel your body, period. So
Yeah.
you stay healthy. And faith was another thing for them. So everything, they had pastors that were there. You could go in, and the guy that was going to draw David's blood said, can I pray with you real
Yeah.
quick before we do this? Before you do that PET scan, can I pray with you? Yep. So they were really good about that. But the other thing was the nutrition. It was the first time I found out that they will do a panel where you can actually have a panel done with all of the vitamins in your body to find
Yeah.
out what you are lax in, to see what you need. His turned out pretty good because we had been doing quite a few different
Yep.
ones, and the IP6, they were shocked that he took IP6, that he said not very many people know about it. And he said, now that we're going to, and he had to do the same treatment, the same cocktail had to happen again because there was still only one at that time. But they said, in the meantime, you take these vitamins, you're going to take the supplements, you take the IP6, we're going to double it while you're doing your chemo. And they upped his vitamin D3
Yep.
a little bit more. And because he was doing pretty good. We do about 4,000 or 5,000 IUs of that a day. And so they were surprised at that. And then B12. So other than that, they really watched all of the vitamin intake that he had during the time that he did his treatment, which is something, and you can talk, our doctors here, God bless them, because we need them, and the nurses,
Oh.
but they're not trained in that realm.
Right.
They're just, that's not part of
Yep.
the piece of what they do. So I really do feel we needed both of them, and we still need both of them, but it really helped him. The sick part that he had out during the chemo was in half for how he felt, like the nausea and the throwing up and all of the fatigue, all of the stuff that came along with it. It really
never
made a
lost my hair
huge,
like he told me. I
yep,
was
he never did lose his hair when they told him he would
Yeah,
lose.
you got a
all of
beautiful
it.
head of hair
I
there,
know.
sir.
We
Yeah.
were like, oh no, it's gonna all be gone, they said, but he never did lose it. So we did that. And of course, again, in 3 months, it was gone. And we were done. And then he's been done for 8 years.
Mhm.
And then 2 years ago, and in the meantime, though, I will say this, when they took the prostate out, they shave right close to the two nerves on both sides. So they don't technically get it all. That's why they like the radiation stuff, to try to get all of it. And a lot of times they don't. There's some few prostate cancer cells that have been floating around in his body ever since. So he gets a Lupron shot, which most of those guys out there that are dealing with prostate cancer know that shot well. It's something that happens a lot, and it helps it lowers the testosterone, because in his case, prostate cancer feeds on testosterone.
Right,
So you have
Okay.
to lower the testosterone to kill the cancer cells.
right.
So, we talk a lot about sugar, and sugar for the
Yep.
other one was a big one, and he is very limited on his sugar there too. And we did that. And the longer that those prostate cancer cells are in there, a lot of men, it's slow moving for most of them.
Yep.
They can go, through all of their older ages to be able to still have it and not
Yeah.
have to worry about it. It's not going to be the thing that kills them.
Yep.
But the longer it's there and the longer you deal with it, it will eventually start attacking other things. And in
Yeah.
his case, 2 years ago, it attacked the bone. And we had 5 spots that it attacked the bone. And so this time it was a pill, a chemo pill. We didn't
Yeah.
have to have the intravenous one. And they gave him a pill. The side effects were horrible, I
Yeah.
will say, on that pill. We did them 2 months and we stopped. We stopped and said, okay, he's doing the Lupron shot. 1 more month of that, we're going to do the PET scan. Let's check it. And it was enough, though. Yeah, it was all gone. So in 3 months,
Wow.
again, 3 months seems to be his magic number. It was gone. It was all gone, and we stopped all the treatment and we were done. Because the other thing is that have talked about several times is that, and they will tell you that the longer you have to do these treatments long-term, that the cells will get used to it and then they change and they don't want them anymore.
They
and
build a
become-
tolerance to
Yeah,
it, yeah.
the tolerance. And so that was one of the things they told us. So it's like, well, if it's gone, I want to stop. I don't want to do 3 more months just because you want to make sure if it's gone, it's gone, let's stop, so that this one still works. I think that's why we were able to use the one that we did use those couple of times, because he's
Right.
done so well on it.
Yeah.
But we've only did the least amount that he had to have it, and then we stopped. And now he's gone 2 years, and now his PET scan this time did the same thing. And so those little cells attack the bone again. And so he's got 6 little spots that are that. And so he's on a different pill this time. They gave him a different one, and supposed to have less side effects. And so we'll see about that. But so that's kind of in a nutshell, his journey of 5 different times of cancer,
Wow.
of being able to do that. But I will say one thing. The other part of it is, even like going to Cancer Treatment Centers of America, is you really do, once you get past the shock and all of the feelings that you're going
Mhm.
through, of knowing that, what can I do on my part
Yeah.
to make it better? And you got to put the work in. I mean, don't sit there and drink a Coke and think that, okay, I'm going to be okay. Cause it's not, it's, you got to, we both truly believe that the nutrition piece of
Yeah.
this
It's so important.
is number one.
Mhm.
I mean, before
Well,
God, but
And
I
you know,
mean,
like,
what I can do.
I can remember 12 years ago when Dr. Cabrera, it came back, sat there and he looked at me and he said, you got about 6 months a year, go home, enjoy your family, your grandkids, travel. And I mean, it's like getting hit with 50 pounds of lead. I mean, I don't know. So we cried all the way home, got all our ducks in a row, wound up at CTCA, Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And I walked in there and I wanted to see what those doctors were going to see.
Yeah.
My first doctor was Dr. Thompson. I
Because
said,
we were told you were terminal.
right.
Yep.
And I sat down and I looked at him and he looked at me and he said, I know what you're going to ask me and I don't want to hear it. And I said, what? Terminal. He said, we don't use that word here. We don't use it at all. He said, we don't give anybody a time frame on cancer, because when he's ready to take you, he'll take you. And I just looked at him like,
It was like a
wow.
huge
I mean,
load
it was
off of
like
us.
taking
It was
500
a good way to
pounds.
look at it,
right.
to say, don't
And he
use that
said,
word.
David, I think we've got a good chance of beating this. He said, this is a cancer treatment center. We won't do a sore throat or a broken finger or anything
Yeah,
else,
That's all they
but we
do is
will do
cancer.
cancer. And I'll tell you, it was amazing. And another thing, when you go into their cafeteria, 90% of the food that they have in there is organic. They have a 50-acre garden in the back, and that food comes
They
in
grow
and
their
that,
own food.
right.
So we
right.
learned more on
Right.
how to eat healthy,
Yeah.
on
Right.
making sure you can try to get as much. I mean, we can't
Right.
get everything organic around here, and where we
Mhm.
live, we're really limited for some
Right.
of that stuff, but you can eat, you
But,
can choose to find what
know,
you need.
And too, Stacy, you've been there. Cancer is something, oh yeah, go have a can of Coke if you want to, go eat a bunch of chocolate. No, well, wait a minute. You're dealing with something that could take you in 3 months, 6 months, a year, or whatever. So I love chocolate. I love chocolate.
He
But-
does have a sweet tooth though.
Yeah,
It's like,
but
it's
I
Me
know.
there.
too,
I'm
that's
not
my
saying
weakness.
that
I know,
that's a- yeah.
But I've had to say, hey, you want to stay around here, then,
Yeah.
And the other part of that is, I mean, yes, we should be able to try to do that long term, but for a lot of people, that's really hard. So for us, especially the first couple of times, it was like, all right, we're in this season. We're going to be doing chemo for 3 months. Let's take 3 months and know that that's what we're going to really work hard on.
right,
No sugar, eat the vegetables, drink the water,
Yep.
spring water, do the alkaline stuff,
Yep.
make sure
Yeah.
that we're doing everything we can that we can do to fight the cancer during that treatment to help that treatment along
Yep.
with that. And then when you're done, you're kind of like, even when we were done, we were so used to doing it. It made it easier. Yes, he still has ice cream. Yes, he still has a piece of pie. Yes, I mean, sugar still is a part of our life. I have to say that. But I do know that we are so much more aware of it now
Right,
after what he's been through.
right.
And we are healthier now. Even with cancer, he's a very healthy guy with cancer, is what
Yep.
I'd say.
That's one of the segments I want to get somebody on to talk about, Bob, too, is like an alkaline diet, because scientifically it's been proven that cancer has a
Acidity.
hard time
Yep.
living in an alkaline environment.
Right.
They love
acidity.
an acidic environment.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
diet is very important. Will it cure cancer? No, but it sure as hell is going to
Yeah.
help.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely.
You
Well,
know-
I haven't drank city water in 12 years. I have not had.
Spring water's our thing. Well,
we
we just
finally-
put reverse osmosis in the house.
Right. Well,
finally,
yeah,
so-
we finally put a system in, and our son in Naples, Florida actually runs a water plant there, and I called him one day and I said, "Yeah, Dad, I wouldn't drink that water either." I mean, that's just what he, but, and the other thing was, he said, "Dad, just take that water, put it in a kettle and boil it."
Yeah.
And
Anything.
she said, "Go out to the farm and get some water and boil it."
Yeah.
And he said, "See, just look at the difference." Well, I've known that for years because of spring water, it's completely different. I mean, I'm not saying go down near the Missouri River and take 5 gallons and take it home and drink it, because we can't do that anymore. But yeah, there's a
Or
lot.
put some
to it.
baking soda in your water too, is
Yes.
what my my
Yeah.
Mayo doctor
Yep.
had recommended, is if you don't have alkaline water available, put a little baking soda in your water too. It changes the
Right.
alkalinity of your water.
And the other secret is you have to drink water.
Yeah.
I
With-
drink, what do I
with-
drink?
What's in your water?
Electrolytes.
There you go. Yeah.
I remember it.
You need
I remember,
electrolytes in
right.
your water.
And we do,
Yes.
but I try to drink
Charge your
between
body.
60 and 90 ounces of water a day. And of course, at my age, you know where I'm headed to most of the time. So I can't go out anymore and I can't, no, that's not true. But I mean, yeah.
And David is 75. He is very proud of he's
Yeah.
75. I'm very blessed to be here. So.
Right. I mean,
like-
I get, that's the thing. I just get broke up when I think that, 12 months ago, 12 years ago, you got 6 months to a year to live. 6 months to a year. And I'll tell you another thing. When I walked into that infusion center, I call every one of those nurses up there my angels, because they do the best they can with what they've got.
Yeah.
But I walked up there and everybody, "How much time have you got?" I said, "I don't know. You're going to lose your hair. You're not going to make it." And I thought,
The patients, you mean?
The patients.
that are there. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I got one quick
know.
story. There was this old gentleman.
This is
He was
funny.
probably 15 years older than me and just a grouchy. And he had to drive like, I don't know, 70, 80 miles to get down there. And oh man, one day I was sitting and Andy said to me, she said, "What do you want in your cocktail today?" I don't know. I said, probably what I used to drink.
You said Morgan.
Morgan.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Do that.
Morgan.
And that guy's eyes just went like
Lit
this.
up.
And he says, "Can I have vodka?"
Vodka.
Vodka. Good old German boy. And from that day on, he knew. There was no vodka in that. But
Right, just
he
hands
smiled
it.
from that day after, but it's,
And tell her that he
and
wanted vodka in
Stacy,
his cocktail.
they're from 19 years old to 90
Wow,
years
even-
old out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think we need more ambassadors that can bring these people up. Have the faith, have the faith. There's more, we can beat this cancer. And the thing I've noticed probably in the last 10, 12 years, cancer is worse than a sore throat. I mean, people, "Oh yeah, I got cancer. Yep, I got cancer. I got cancer." It's crazy.
Yeah.
So where's
It's
it coming
everywhere.
from? I mean, I grew up in the 60s, 70s. I never heard of cancer. Never knew a thing about it. So is it what we're eating? Is it what, there's a catch there. But then I've had some old ranchers tell me, "You eat anything with anhydrous ammonia on it?" I don't. I put my cow manure on it yet, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But
Ben,
Yeah.
it goes back to your food and
Right.
how healthy good
Nutrition is so
nutrition-
important. And you've been through that battle. I mean,
Nutrition and I think attitude. Like
Oh.
you were talking about when you were getting treatment. I remember the first time I sat in the chemo chair, I was really nervous. I was really
right.
scared because
Scared.
I don't know how my body's going to react to it. They say you might have an allergic reaction. We're
Oh,
going to do
right.
it really slow at first. And yeah, well, and they gown up, they glove up, and they put on a hazmat suit
I know, they come in there looking like
To
they're
get-
going into a hazmat.
to give you something you're going to put in your body.
That's right.
And Bob and I have talked about that before too, because he went through radiation and he's like, they're like, take the pill and then run out of the hospital because you're radioactive.
Yep.
So it's a very terrifying thing. But then as I got more comfortable and we get to talk,
Right.
one of the chemo nurses, one of the oncology nurses was saying, your attitude is so great. You're going to do fine.
That's right.
And she told me, you're going to be fine.
Yep.
Your attitude's great. She said, the people that have the hardest time, that struggle the most, are the ones that come in here with a very negative attitude.
That's
Like
exactly
the world hates them. This is a plot against them. There's no hope for them.
Right.
Everything's going to be terrible. They're going to be sick. She says, if you believe, those people that believe they can and those people that believe they can't are both right.
That's
Yep,
exactly
yeah,
right.
that's a good way to put it.
So how do you, and that's exactly what she said to me. So how have you kept a positive attitude?
I know. Well, the thing is, like I said, I think we need, I don't know how to do it. Like right now with this chemo fog, I don't know what I tell people, I'd probably say, you're
Don't
full of
forget what he said
shit.
when we walked
Don't
in the door.
believe in this, blah, blah, blah. Excuse my French.
I know
But,
what's that?
Okay, number one,
I'm like, "Hey,
number
it's okay."
one, you're dealing with a disease that can kill you.
Yeah.
Number two, you're putting chemo into your body. That's what? A poison. It is definitely
Chemo or radiation.
heavy
or
metals.
radiation,
Yeah.
either one.
Yeah.
So you got to have the faith. You've got to believe that this is going to work for you. No matter if you lose your hair, if you don't lose I told him, I said, I don't care if I lose my hair as long as I keep my beard. I said, I did,
He's never got rid
and
of the beard.
yeah,
so the beard matters more than the hair.
but the girls up there kept telling me, God, I can't believe it. I lost. And here's the other thing, Stacy, I was bald up here.
Well,
I had a
thinning
little moon.
is thinning.
Yeah, it was thinning. And finally, Andy kept saying, I think it's going to come back with a revenge. And I said, you got to be kidding. No, she said, I've seen people on chemo that's happened. She said, might come back kinky. I said, I don't come back pink, green, yellow, or blue, as long as it comes back. But no, it thinned a little bit. But if I would have lost my hair, big deal. Big deal.
Yeah.
It's my
How
health.
did you
Small price
feel?
of it.
Yeah, like your feelings of going through that piece of it.
Right.
Honestly, and this is something we're going to do a more in-depth show on, is the hair loss and the wigs and stuff. But
I
I
love the wigs. I have
I
to
do
say,
too.
I love
I mean,
the wigs.
honestly, they're so cool.
got a rocket, baby.
Well,
Um,
and I see how great you look in your wigs. Just
Oh.
to tell you a little story, when I used to work for the American Cancer Society
Yeah.
and we had the wig room, and we were also excited when the new ones came in because we'd all try them on too to see which ones we
Yes.
liked. And there was one that was kind of like the color of my hair now with these highlights in it. And we took a picture of it. And and back in
I
that day,
still
that's
have
when
it.
you
I
had
still
the
have it.
printed picture.
Yeah.
When David worked for the railroad in the office, it's the only picture he had of me. His wife was the one that I had with the wig on. I'm like,
Yeah.
It's a redhead. It is a redhead. and my
he loved
wife-
that picture.
I
I was
mean,
like, so yeah, I'm all
yeah.
about the wigs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They told me they're like, there's 2 or 3 different kinds of chemo that will cause you to lose your hair, and you're getting all of them. So
Yeah.
just be
So-
prepared for it.
Right.
And I was okay with it because I was like, same thing. It's a small price to pay if I get better. And I knew, so everybody has that moment where it's falling out so much and you just can't deal with it anymore. It's just
Shave
like,
it off.
it's fallen here and there.
Yeah.
And so, at that point in time, and I knew when it was that time too, I had washed my hair, and the texture of it was so bad and it was so matted that I was just brushing it all off. So I just yelled at Mike, my boyfriend. I said, grab the clipper.
Let's get her done.
Yeah. And I've seen people that have this moment where they sit in a chair and they cry and But to tell you the truth, I wasn't that attached to my hair. It was a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah.
I
How soon
had to get it cut.
afterwards?
Oh, so I was like, and he goes, do you want me to shave it? Do we need to do a ceremony? I'm like, no, just get the hell out of here. I'm just going to shave my head. I need to get to work is what I said. I need to get to work.
Chop, chop.
I need to get to work. I have a show that needs to go in at 11 o'clock. I need to get to the station. I'm just going to shave this off. And then I bought a wig to prepare. So I was ready for it. So I just shaved my head, popped on the wig and left.
Okay.
There was no crying. There was no like, oh, mourning my hair. It's hair.
It's here and it will come back.
It'll
So
come
when you're
back.
done, it does come back. It may look a little different, but it's still
Yeah.
going to come back. It's not like losing an arm or a leg where you
And
can't
it doesn't,
get
it does, it never defined me. It doesn't
Right.
define me.
No.
I could see the people that have like the beautiful head of like curly hair and they mourn that loss. But I was like, it's less money in styling it.
Well, you know, and go back just as when you talk about attitude and how important that is. I mean, Stace, you have such an awesome attitude to
You could-
begin with.
you
So I
do.
mean, I
You
think that
do.
helps people that end up getting that diagnosis. So depending on how their attitude is on life, and you can either choose to stay that way or, you know, surround yourself with other people that your friends that you want to be able to say, okay, am I going to take the positive that they're saying, or am I going to
And
hang
take the
on to the
negative.
negative and just be sad? I mean, y'all need that moment to have the sadness, absolutely, but it doesn't need to stay there, you know?
Well, I can remember we got home
Mhm.
and I went down in my man cave and I cried my eyes out. 6 months to a year. I mean, it's
Yeah.
going to hit anybody. You can't just be. So what?
Even if you're not diagnosed terminal,
Yeah.
you do have a moment where you break down and cry.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't think that, you know, and then it just,
And it's okay to have those moments.
Oh,
You
yeah,
need those
yeah,
moments.
yeah.
You need to get
And-
that out.
and the other part of it was Dr. Thomas said to me, the good news is he said, platinum SIBO works very good for what you have, but it does the cancer becomes immune to it.
Yeah.
So here we go a couple years later and guess what? They've come up with 2 more chemos now.
Yeah.
So hey,
Technology now
platinum
too.
SIBO, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll,
He's got
take it.
options, more
Yeah.
options.
and
you know.
I am taking, what's the stuff I'm taking now? I can't pronounce it.
Ex-handy.
Yeah,
That's what it's
I would call
called.
it X candy,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
not
X
candy.
candy. Yeah, but, and you know, I was listening, Stacy, when you were talking, there is help out there.
Mhm.
There is help. Because these pills that I'm taking, there is no way Charisse and I could afford them.
Yeah.
No way.
Oh, yeah, the
But with-
financial side of it is
right.
another whole story
But
too.
with the navigator at Sanford or whatever hospital, get with your navigator, talk to them, see what you can do. And they worked it out both times for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got Medicare, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, you know, and
And
they,
it still wasn't enough.
no,
for-
oh,
for
no,
some
no,
of
it
that.
didn't even come close. It
you
didn't
know.
even come
So there are
close.
grants and, you know,
Right.
other things that are available out
Yeah.
there too, to
Yep.
help you with.
And they're so
those-
willing
the
to
rest of
work with
them.
you, but if you don't ask them, I mean, if you don't,
You don't know.
you're
Yeah.
not gonna get any help. So, yeah.
Do you have any questions, Bob?
Well, I was just gonna say, like you talk about all the, you know, going through the doctors, everything, like the medical field is a practice. Like they're practicing medicine, so that's why they have, you know, everybody's different. So Dave could have a different prognosis than what I have, to what Stacy has, what anybody has. So you talk about your support staff. That's huge. Some
It
people don't
is
have that support staff, so they go in and think, oh, this is it. You know, it's one of those things that it's over. And you talk about finding out, everybody is going to find out differently, and everybody's going to have that probably the same reaction because you hear cancer and it's over. Like, oh my God, I have cancer. What am I going to do now? But God bless you, Dave. I mean, you know, 12 years later,
Thank
good
you.
for you, man.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
I'll take
Yeah.
every blessing I can.
Oh,
You know, and I looked on my face page. I'm very poor at this because I'm a 60s guy. If the phone doesn't ring, I don't answer it. If, okay, we'll end it right there. But I looked the other day on my Facebook, over 400 people were praying for me.
Yeah.
400. And I really, really believe that prayer will help you.
Prayer
I
and
mean,
support.
I was
Yeah, prayer
praying
and
for you
support.
all the time.
I pray for you too.
Well, I mean, I know, but it, you know,
I think that's another piece of it.
every
though.
blessing that you can get, I think is just one more thing that
for some, I think it's hard to share that. And,
Right.
and it is hard. I'll have people ask me, how's David doing? Because that's how they find out is through Facebook because they don't see everybody. So
Right.
I was like, this time I was it took me a few weeks to post it, this time and to be able to get it out there. But I also feel on our side, because we ask for the prayer too and the support, however the good feelings are coming, however you believe, that you send those his way. And I mean, we just feel like the power of that is just
Yeah.
as much as the attitude
Right.
and everything else that goes along with it.
Right.
So that you're being able to change your attitude if you need to, or have that support so that your attitude stays up. So when you do have the bad day, because they do come and they're there, they can come in waves and there can come a lot. You've got, that there's some people that are there
Right.
to help you pull you back
Right.
out again,
Whether
because it's hard not
You
to.
know, the thing that bothers me the most, and I'm just gonna say it, I'll be walking down the street or something, somebody comes to me, how are you doing? I hear you have cancer. I don't know. I got a couple days yet. Why? I mean, instead of coming up and saying, David, I hear you're really doing good, but they make it sound like they're dying too, you're dying,
Or I get this all the time, like, oh, you look really good.
Yeah. Like, oh, so sad.
What did I do?
I'd like to say, I think I look like shit.
Yeah.
I really do. Well, who are you trying to kid? Excuse my French.
Just be honest about it. It's like, it's a
but-
bad day today.
Yeah,
Ah.
you look so, you can just tell in their voice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that isn't what they mean.
Yeah.
They're looking for, are you gonna die? Are you,
They've
how
already
soon
written you off.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't know. Yeah.
But Stacy, I think this is so fantastic you're doing this because this is gonna get out to people.
And
I
the
think-
more you talk about it, I
Oh,
think the more
oh.
people, they just need to be more educated. I mean, education is there for
Right,
everything that's out there,
right.
and cancer is not anymore. And we're getting so much of it.
Right.
I mean, when our hospital ends up moving our cancer ward to another building and it's doubled in
I
size,
know.
you
I
know that
know.
there's a huge problem,
Yep.
with that piece
Yep.
of it. So then we need to start talking about it.
Right.
And like Bob said, the other part of it too is that there are so many different kinds of cancer. It's like you
Oh.
hear about the top 5 or whatever, but there are so many.
There are so many.
And it's not the same fix for every single
No.
one
No.
of them. Everybody has to go through a different kind of treatment, their timeline, everything is different. So
Right.
when you hear somebody's got the cancer, we use the word, but it
Mhm.
means so many different things that we're not.
Well, and you know that too, Charisse. We're going to the American Cancer Society for so long. It's like there are
Yes.
so many different types. Like I have thyroid cancer. Stacey has ovarian cancer. David had prostate cancer. We would do a show. I mean, it's just you don't know, and people, like you say, they don't know how to react to it because either they haven't been affected by it or they just don't have the brain to say, "How are you really doing today?" Rather than,
Yes,
"Oh my God, you look like shit." You know what I mean? Like one of those things where,
exactly.
be honest with me. Tell me how I feel. I'll tell you how I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Well, thanks so much for coming in today and
thank you
being
so
on
much.
with
You're
us.
awesome.
I'm so happy to have you guys
Ready to
in.
come and talk to you about
I
this.
have one more quick story.
Okay.
When I was at Mayo, they got me mixed up with another patient.
Oh, yeah.
Then after the next day we came in, they were taking pictures. I mean, they told this patient,
They went to another patient and
Right.
told them.
Can you
"David's-
can you imagine
you're
they
gonna
told
die
him,
story."
you
Yeah,
got
that
6
day.
months. And then the
We
nurse
got the wrong
realized
patient.
that's not Dave. How do you forget a face like this? I mean, it wasn't even close. And I think Dr. Kwan, who was my professor of urology, I think he just, but to tell somebody that and have the wrong diagnosis, but the next
And then
day
he
they
told
were
us.
taking pictures. Yep, you
So
came
now
in.
Mayo takes pictures
Yep,
of
yep.
other patients. That's why they do that. Exactly.
Wow.
And just one more other little thing too, is to say, when we talk about that support and friends and
Right.
caregivers too, I mean, because we're in this as a team, that's what chokes me up,
I know.
Yes.
Plenty.
is wanting to make sure that we're, there for those that are with the one that's
Right.
going through it. I mean,
Right.
he's going through it, but your family's going through it too,
Yep.
and
Yep.
your friends and everybody there is support, but the ones that are under your roof, that see you good and bad and all the ugly and everything else,
Right.
need that support too.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
being able to make sure that they're talking about it so
Right.
that
Don't
they
be
can
scared
stay
about-
positive
Talk
about it too.
Don't be
Yeah.
scared. That's what
Yeah.
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah.
So yeah, Stacy.
God,
thank
there's
you.
so many different things on this show.
I
you
know,
can
right?
talk
There's
about.
100
Oh,
different
we-
conversations.
Oh, 100%. What a great
Another
idea we
thing-
had, Charisse. See, we're so smart, me and Stacy.
Right? We're not, you're hired now. You're going to help us with content. Yeah.
We're good.
So
I
good.
always told
I'm
her if
glad
I-
you guys are doing this.
If I kick the
Yeah,
bucket,
thank
she
you.
needs to write a book.
She should write a book regardless.
I know,
Yeah.
it's like, we
No.
could.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, I'm so thankful to be here. It's been a journey, but it's been a very good journey.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep, as they say, trucking on and support people like Stacy. And there's a lot of other people in our lives that. But the one thing about you, Stacy, it always seems like you were uplifted.
You know,
honestly, I mean,
I'm so lucky that I have an amazing amount of friends and family and people
Support.
from like when we did radio 2000 years ago, like are still follow us and support us and love us.
Wasn't
and
that long
you know,
ago.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and you both look so great so many years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
It
you.
was
Hey.
amazing.
look
But
great.
yeah, so it's I'm really lucky that I have a support system
Good.
of people around me. So
Yeah,
it's been
crucial.
really easy to try to stay
Yeah.
positive. One, I figure why be negative? It doesn't help
It doesn't
anything.
No.
Just
Really
pulls you
does, yeah.
down. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Negativity is, unless you're walking around your yard in your bare feet, that's good.
I mean, look at
Negativity.
it, just
you
feeding
know,
that
Grounding?
disease.
That's
grounding.
completely
Hey,
a
we just
different
ordered
thing.
grounding mats are
Yeah,
coming
we just
today, by the
ordered
way.
grounding. Yeah.
Speaking of grounding, another good, really good thing.
Right.
For you.
But no, I mean, I watched you as much as I got to close my eyes and think. I mean, but I watched you as much as I could on Facebook, and you were always. I mean, I never ever saw anything that was really negative. I really didn't. And I tried to say little things because, like I said, I'm a '60s person, you know. But I tried to just put my little, whatever, and I'm praying for you, and I mean that. When I say I'm praying for somebody, I'm praying for them. So yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you both so much for coming. It was awesome.
Oh,
Dave,
thanks for
Charisse,
having
thank you
us.
guys.
Yes, thank you
We
so much.
appreciate it.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Yeah.
It's good to
Cancer
see you, Bob.
Convos.
Yep.
You too. Cancer Convo sponsored by insert your business here. Anybody could have it. Let's get on it. It should be sponsored by the American Cancer Society. That was what should it be sponsored by, but whatever. We don't have that power, I guess. There you go. There's a show for this week. See you again next week.
Thanks for listening to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy, sponsored by... Oh, we don't have any. If you're interested in sponsoring our podcast, you can email stacy@urlradio.net. That's STACY @urlradio.net. This podcast is available on all major streaming platforms, including Spotify and iTunes, and also the free URL Radio app. Remember, cancer is a word, not a sentence.